to the Jonathan Ross Show. Let's start, as we like to, by taking a look at who's in my green room tonight. Now, I'm super excited because we have got one of the biggest music stars this country has ever produced. He's got a new book out, a new album. He'll be touring next year. I'm excited he's here to tell us all about it. He's the legendary Mr. Phil Collins, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Phil. It's you. Hello, Phil. It's Phil. I think he was having a nap. I'm delighted to say Phil will also be performing for us right here in the studio later on. Now, if you like comedy, if you like comedians, you're in for a treat. We have one of the funniest comedians in the country right now, one of the hottest things to come out of Birmingham since the chicken bull to Madras. It is Joe Lycett. There he is. Look at that, Carl. Michael Jackson. Look at that. High kicks and everything. My next guests were the biggest stars of our Sunday night TV in the 90s. They were massive. We couldn't get enough of them until we'd had enough of them. But now they're back. And we didn't realise how much we missed them until they did come back. They're bigger than ever from the hugely popular Cold Feet. It's John Thompson, Faye Ripley and Jimmy Nesbitt. Fantastic to have you here. Hello, John. Right. Now, I have to say, I'm sure you'll recall the story last week, ladies and gentlemen, about an out-of-control gorilla on the loose. Did you read this? It escaped from London Zoo. I think we have a picture. No, not that one. I'm talking about Kumbuku, the gorilla from London Zoo. He got out of his enclosure, but thankfully the good news is a happy ending of sorts. He's fine and no one was harmed, so that's good. However, here's the weird thing. I've just heard it's happened again here in London. Another gorilla has escaped captivity near the studio. And apparently we're at a heightened level of risk because gorillas are mainly attracted to two things, as you probably know. Bananas and Phil Collins. They love... Oh, Phil! What are you doing? Phil, you've got... Oh, no! Let's get my first guest out, shall we? They're the stars of one of the best dramas on telly from Cold Feet. It is John Thompson, Faye Ripley and James Nesbitt. I'm sorry to point it out. Well, that was much better. It's great to have you here. Thank you all for coming here.
Well, they were doing nothing else. I was working, but I couldn't sit here.
Hey, so 13 years since Cold Feet and you're back together. That's quite a long gap. Did you have doubts? Were you concerned when you came back that there would be an audience? People wanted to see you back in the saddle?
I think we were all terrified, weren't we? I was.
I think we were scared. We hadn't seen each other for a long time, eh?
Yes. No. We didn't have, like, a dinner or a brunch or anything first. We all got together in the same room for the read-through of Cold Feet. So it was brutal.
The nice thing as well is you all look great still. You know what I mean? No one looks terrible.
Well...
but at the same time, obviously, there's been physical changes outside, and you kind of talk about... I mean, your hair is something of a topic of humour in the first episode, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I know, I think it's... you know, Northern Ireland is a rather special place, and we have a habit of growing our hair back rather than losing it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the Northern Irish Sea air.
It's marvellous. It's magnificent. I must book myself a trip out there. And you kind of tease him for this, and is that in real life as well? Is the kind of teasing that goes on?
Well, it was a case of none today, hair tomorrow, and the thing was... And Jimmy won't mind me saying that at all. You know, we're good friends. So, you know, it had to be addressed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was, you know, in good humour.
Listen, we need something to have a go at Jimmy about after the whole OBE thing.
Well, because, yes, Jimmy...
To be honest...
Order the Belfast extension.
Just anything. He plays that card quite heavily.
Well, is there a sense of rivalry, though, in terms of... Because you've all done OK, but Jimmy's done exceptionally well, and he seems to enjoy talking about how well he's done.
Very much so.
Well, listen, I'm just as God made me, but there I am. I think I just received that from the Queen. No, I mean, actually, I wrote it on the, you know, on the makeup truck and stuff.
Yeah.
You have, like, all your photos, and I did put James Nesbitt OBE after it, but...
It was you?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
yeah.
What a wanker.
You know, when the series first happened, in a way, I guess it was the biggest thing for all of you, and it was the biggest thing you'd been involved in at that stage in your career.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how did that change things? I mean, did you notice the change? Did the fame kind of land heavily on you?
Well, the first time I was recognised, I was in a supermarket, I was standing by the frozen fish, that's a detail, and a lady came up to me and she said, "Oh, did I see you on the telly last night?" And I was so excited that I, 1, kissed her, 2, invited her for dinner, and then chased her into the staff area because she was running away from me, scared. Because I wanted to get her over to my place, discuss it.
It's the first time a fan has been stalked by the celebrity. One thing I noticed, I know you're a big football fan, Jimmy.
Yeah, indeed.
OK. Big Manchester United supporter.
Indeed I am.
Okay. Are you a fan of Manchester United as well, John?
Now, I've been... people have commented on this recent series and people have said, well done, great acting. Now, what the real acting is, Jonathan, is me in a pub, drinking, enjoying football. I hate football. I haven't drunk for 10 years, right? Wow. So when I'm getting leathered and watching Man United going... That's the hard act.
That's serious.
That's the tough stuff, not the depression.
Yeah.
That's the...
Hold on.
It's all right, it's all right.
That's easy. But all that football nonsense...
You look like Churchill, the insurance dog. Faye, are you a football fan as well, or do you...
Liverpool, which is very annoying for him.
She's not actually a football fan.
Oh,
it's
well,
a new
I'm
thing.
a woman,
No,
Jimmy.
because it's a new thing. You didn't used to follow football.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you have to be born a football fan?
No. You acquired it.
Is it husband-led?
This
Is
is an
there an
argument
age,
that
Jimmy,
goes
that you
on,
can't become
sir.
a football fan afterwards without getting
No,
criticised?
it's...
At what point is it OK to give me an
To
actual
give him his
age?
due, he has been since he was a
it's
wee
not to do
boy.
with
He's
age,
grown.
I just find it hard to believe. And also, I find it very hard to believe that you'd end up picking a team like Liverpool to support.
I think that's the point.
So it's mainly Liverpool that you have the problem with?
I have a major problem with Liverpool.
But when you... Because your character's always banging on about Manchester United in the show.
Every character I've ever played.
Yeah.
Murphy. Yeah, every character I've played.
Would you have a problem if they'd have said, well, we want to make you a City fan?
That wouldn't happen.
But as an actor, you could do that.
As an actor, he would be a wanker if he was a City.
But, OK,
So what is it you always used to say when you got into a cab in London?
Oh, right, when I first started coming to London, taxi drivers, their opening gambit would always be, all right, it's John, isn't it? I go, yeah, that's right. He goes, you're from Manchester, ain't you? I go, yes, I am. He go, are you a red or a blue? And I went, oh, a red, because I thought they meant Labour.
Now, you're all parents, aren't you? You've all got children.
Yes.
And I guess your kids have grown up in the period when, after Cold Feet finished, to now.
Yeah.
So they weren't that aware of what you've been in before, but now it's a part of their life. Do they enjoy seeing the show?
But, you know, my two are not that bothered about the stuff I've done.
So yours, they're 19 and 14, is that
Yeah, 19 and 14.
OK, so they're not that impressed by what you do?
No, not at all. In fact, not that long ago, my eldest, Peggy, who's always been very, very funny from a very early age, I called the landline of her mum's house recently, and she answered the phone, and I said, oh, hi, it's me. And she said, oh, God, sometimes I wish it actually was PPI, which I thought...
That is brilliant.
She's shocked.
Faye, what about yours?
Well, my oldest, who's 14, she watches it, but the little one watched the first episode and said, I don't care. Wow. So I was like, OK, I know.
Hey, John, do yours watch it?
Olivia is 14 in a couple of weeks. Olivia watches it. Sophia's only 6.
Right.
So, but one night Olivia was at my house and Sophia came down and wanted to watch because she felt she was missing out, like I did in the 70s when there were Tupperware parties.
Yeah.
That's how it was. That's the analogy. So she came down, but there's elements of Cold Feet that's a little adult.
Well, there are scenes. There's a moment. There's kind of like a sexual relationship. Obviously, the two of you have because you're married in it.
Oh.
But
Very
it's
much
not.
so.
It's not happening as much as it might be. So there are adult conversations going on,
Yes.
which you might not want a 6-year-old to hear.
No.
And I should warn you, some viewers will find this disturbing. But I think it's important that midlife male impotency is looked at and addressed. And here we see mainly, I think this is Faye and John's moment in this. So, yeah. So enjoy this Monday night.
Yeah, here you and Jen tried to get back to doing what married couples do.
Arguing.
On sex, or went off half-cocked, I gather.
Didn't even reach those heady heights.
You know you can get your doctor to prescribe something.
No need.
Well, you're cured?
I got some from a friend.
Who?
All right, chaps?
Oh, Jesus.
No, they're quite old. They might have lost their potency.
Sounds like me. Oh, Jen. I think I've done something silly.
Oh, my God. Is that natural?
Well, I've had help from David.
Didn't know you found her so attractive.
Wow. Wow. Because we should explain, if you haven't been watching it, that's been a kind of ongoing thing throughout the series, is that you haven't had the desire necessarily
My
to perform.
libidinal drive has dried up.
Yeah,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, really.
I mean,
I'm acting it, darling. I find you very attractive.
And that goes on, and there is a sex scene that follows that, I believe.
Full on.
yes, I do my own stunts.
There is.
And are you gonna let the kids see that scene, or are you
This is
gonna?
very brief. I have to say, mine have seen it
And?
already because I had to take them to work with Mummy one day, which was to do some extra voiceover. So for it, unfortunately, I didn't know that that was the bit that they were coming with me for, and so I went, "Just sit there. It won't be a minute. I'm just going to go." And literally, their poor little eyes just out. And I went, "Oh, get away." So that is true. So they have, in fact, that is the only bit they've
So
seen.
they're 9 and 13, and that's what they get to see
so
Mum doing on
basically,
screen.
they think that I'm in a porn.
Oh, wow. But you know, John's face when you said I've already seen it, I've never seen a man look so desperate for approval and reassurance as these faces.
You do see a bit. You see my bare buttocks.
Wow.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
very
hoping for rear
brief.
of the year.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? But that brings us full circle, because one of the most memorable images from
of
the
course.
early days
Yeah.
was Jimmy holding the rose in
There we go. Look at that.
Jimmy, that's pretty good work there.
Yeah, no, I can still feel that, actually.
Did they not de-thorn it first for you?
No, there was a poor a dresser guy that had to do that. He had to sort of insert it there. Not insert it, sorry. That was the following weekend. No, he had to... nobody had to put it there, and it was his first job, a big, butch fella, Craig he was called. But after he had a day of doing that and he disappeared, we never heard of him again.
Was it glued in, or was it actual just a
There was a
button
bit
of power?
of clenching, I think, went on.
Just clenching?
Back in the days when I could clench there,
Do you not think you could manage that now?
I think it might be a struggle, you know.
You don't... I think you still... I think you've still got it in you. I think this could be a beautiful moment. Come on, Jimmy, do it for United.
I did. Those days are gone.
No, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go.
Come on.
I'll get it right up there for you. Turn that way. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
That's pretty good.
I need one of those tablets that
Sorry to do that to you as well.
Oh,
Jimmy.
you're fine.
OK, Cold Feet, the final show in this series is on Monday night at 9, and I think you've already heard there's going to be another series, is that right?
There is.
Yes.
There is,
Great
yes.
news.
It was a bit emotional.
Great news. That's great news.
I know.
It's been fantastic, and you're going to stay with us for the rest of the show,
Fabulous.
so we're going to have more time with them. But, ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in saying thank you to John, to Faye, to Jimmy Nesbitt, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, guys. Still to come, we'll be joined out here by the brilliantly funny Joe Lycett and the one and only Phil Collins, chatting and performing. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest right out here. Now, here's a plain words for you. If you lice it hot, you've come to the right place. It is the fabulously funny Mr. Joe Lycett. Great to see you in the Gangnam Style. Hello, John. You know, Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Lovely to have you here, and thank you for coming on the show. I've been a fan of yours since I first saw you on TV doing, I think it was 8 out of 10 Countdown Does Cats, or one of those things.
Yes, I have done that one, yeah.
Okay,
I was
good.
admiring your
rose between your arse cheeks.
I bet you were.
I tried the same thing with a Toblerone once.
Wow.
I'm horribly wrong.
Were there circumstances leading up to that, or just a boring night in?
Yeah, I was feeling a bit lonely.
Wow.
I didn't think it would be like this. The first thing I say on the Jonathan Ross show is shut the Toblerone
You know
mouth.
what?
That's what, life just goes like that sometimes, doesn't it?
You know, Joe, none of us thought it would be like that. I'm thrilled to hear that, because I thought you might be able to make it, because I saw this picture of you. You'd had an injury. You broke or fractured your elbow recently?
Yes, that's me taking a selfie in A&E. I was doing a photo shoot for doing a DVD that comes out later in the year, and I like kicking my leg in the air, and I was doing it on concrete, and I kicked that leg in the air, and while that leg was in the air, I thought, I'll kick that leg in the air, which I don't know if you're a fan of gravity. Basically, I landed and I fractured I fractured the neck of my radial head.
Wow.
Which apparently is all right, it's fine.
OK, so that was
So I
healed.
can just about... can't quite get it straight.
Oh.
And my physio's told me I have to get used to pain.
We have photographs from that photo shoot, so here we go.
Right.
This is one before the fall, so we can see exactly what's
half
going
a second before I did it.
on. OK, and then we have a photo, and then presumably they didn't take pictures when you were done. That's you straight afterwards.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it together, aren't I? That's not a good arm, is it? That's not...
Has he administered the morphine at that stage?
No, I mean, it's 3 seconds after I did it. And what I like about it is I'm trying to hold it together. I think in my head at that point, I'm fine.
But you do look like... It looks like you're beginning to sweat, even in that picture. The face, you're holding it together.
Yeah, I've gone green. Yeah.
You ever had anything work-related, any accidents like that?
I used to call bingo in Portrush in Northern Ireland, Phil's Bingo, and it was one of the old-fashioned machines where the balls all went up like that there. And the only work injury I've ever had was I just looked one time over the tube where it came up and the ball. Kelly's eye red one, actually, hit me right in the eye. That's a bit of a shiner, that was it.
Hit in the eye by Kelly's ball.
My worst work accident was doing a sitcom on the BBC One called Big Top.
And that's the end of the story.
That's it.
Some of us saw that. OK. Now, Joe has a book out, and if you've seen John on TV, you know he has a very lovely way with words. I think you're a very clever writer and a clever performer. And so explain the book, what you've done in the book. It's similar to your stage work, similar to your TV work, but somewhat different.
Yeah, well, it's a self-help book that won't help you. A self-help book, basically. Basically, I love trolling people that deserve to be trolled. So you mentioned PPI earlier. There's actually a chapter in there about how to claim for PPI.
Well, you see the cover there. It's Joe Lycett. It's Parsnips Buttered. First of all, the title. Why Parsnips, buttered?
Because there's a routine in there which I did on Cat's Countdown, actually, about how I contested a parking fine. Get a lot of parking fines.
And that's just because you park illegally?
Yeah.
But you contest them, and I admire. That's the spirit.
Yeah, I love doing it. Currently, you know, in your phone, like, you've got, like, reminders. Yeah. One of my reminders at the minute is just fuck up Leeds Council.
Well, what are your favourite ones of the exchanges you've had with... And it seems to be mainly bureaucracy, but sometimes it's individuals as well who've written to you.
Yeah, there's the Sun newspaper. I've tried to sell stories to them that haven't happened.
So you've thought... OK, so tell me about one of the stories you've tried to place in the Sun.
One I got quite close with, which is in the book, which is... tried to tell them that Matt Baker was kicking a pigeon. Matt Baker, who presents the one...
Matt Baker from the One Show. No man you would think of as having any anger in his heart towards any animal, let alone a pigeon. You think so?
I feel like he's a psychopath.
Wow. So you phone them or you write to them and say, I think I have a picture of Matt Baker kicking a pigeon?
Yeah.
And they come
back
back
say,
to you?
well, can you show it to us?
So they were genuinely interested?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they thought that was news?
Yeah. And I said, I won't give you the picture until you give me an offer as to how much you'll pay for it. And I did, generously, I said, I've attached a cropped version of the image, which was just a picture of a pigeon that I Googled. And then it sort of spiralled from there, basically. But they didn't buy the image.
So because you didn't have his foot in contact with the pigeon...
Well, it doesn't exist, Jonathan.
Ah, I see. OK, so, now... Let's get a little serious for a moment here.
Oh.
Let's talk about sex and sexuality. You've described yourself as pansexual.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. Let's move on. Now, pansexual, what does that actually mean? That means you're kind of open to all offers? Not literally, but I mean, like, you don't define yourself as any particular brand?
Are you coming on to me? What's
no,
happening?
I just...
No, I've gone with bisexual for most of my life, but I realised that bisexual still kind of means that sexuality is to do with gender, and I feel like it's partly to do with gender, but I can only sort of know about my own sexuality, but I sort of sometimes just sort of look at, like, someone's thigh, and I think, whoa.
So regardless of what or who the thigh is attached to,
yeah,
the thigh's enough?
Well, no, I'm not going to fuck a thigh, am I?
The thigh's the limit.
Thigh's the limit, that's the new talk show.
You know, in Northern Ireland, a pan is a sliced loaf. So the idea of pansexual is entirely different in Northern Ireland. That really is a lonely night.
Well, I stick Toblerones up my arse, so...
Yeah.
We've got lots to learn, haven't we?
You're either going to get so many free Toblerones after this or be banned from ever buying one again.
Yeah.
OK, and congratulations to you. You were number 10 in Attitude Magazine's Hot 100 list.
Yeah.
Now,
10th hottest man in the world,
wow,
they said.
that's amazing.
There's a silence of disbelief in the audience.
Who are the other 89 below you?
Daniel Craig was below me.
Wow.
Well, I mean, all other men other than the top 10.
All of us are below you.
Yeah.
Who's number one?
Basically, what happened, Attitude do this vote every year, and you can vote for, the hottest man in the world and whatever. And I thought, well, I thought it'd be funny to canvass for votes for myself.
So you canvass for votes?
Yeah. I rigged the election, really.
We have a picture here. I think was this a picture you sent them, or was this just a picture that reflects your hotness? Here we have you on a hammock.
There it is.
Very defined.
Very, yeah. So, like, merman meets cupping.
Yeah. That's my Tinder profile picture.
Wow.
I just sort of want them to know exactly what they're getting into. I'm so proud of that. Like, it's worrying that, because I think that's funnier than anything I'll ever produce. It'll work.
I mean, deliberately.
Yeah. I'm so happy with that picture.
OK, Joe, so you've got the book out, you've got the DVD out.
Yes, that's out a bit later, 21st of November, that one's out.
Joe, it's great to have you here. I know you're going to stick around because you're a huge Phil Collins fan.
I love Phil Collins.
All Phil Collins fans?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the break, Phil Collins will be here performing and chatting to me. See you after the break. The show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out. He's sold over 150 million records worldwide. He's won 7 Grammys, 6 Brit Awards and an Oscar. Let's remind ourselves why Phil Collins is one of the biggest stars in the history of music. Phil Collins! Phil Collins! Phil, great to have you here, mate. Come on. You take a seat at the end here. You shove a long way. All right.
You can come on with me if you want.
Oh!
Very nice. You just said I could come
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Phil Collins. Come on, let's let him know he's welcome here. There you go. Phil, great to have you here.
Thank you.
OK, and now you've not been in the public eye for a while now. I think it was about 6 years ago that you kind of edged away. I think you said you were retiring back then.
Yes, I did say that.
OK.
But that's, that's the only thing I could say. to sort of stop. You know, I just wanted... I was an oil tanker and I needed to stop. So I said I wasn't going to work anymore. I got a bit fed up with it. Frankly, I had 2 young kids and I just wanted to be a dad, you know.
But you retired once before, so you've retired twice now, so we just can't trust you, Phil.
No. Don't believe anything I say, including anything I say tonight.
OK. So before
I just said I wanted to come home with you, you know.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
You're a terrible flirt.
Mum and Dad would be thrilled.
I've met Joe now a couple of times. He's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy.
You were in Newport with him the other day, weren't you?
Yeah. Shh.
He came on a chopper, I came in a bus.
OK, Phil, remarkable career, OK? I said some of the statistics there, and it's incredible.
Well, thank you.
But before your solo career, of course, with Genesis, and
Yes.
that was also incredible success. You were, you know, one of the leading bands in the world, and you kind of, if people aren't familiar with this, Genesis fans will know, of course, but you weren't the front man originally, and you kind of became the front man almost by accident, didn't you?
Yeah. When nobody else wanted the job. I mean, you know, we auditioned and I really didn't want to be the singer. I really didn't want to be the singer. But we couldn't find anybody else that we wanted in the family. That was the thing. So you know, I said, oh, well, I'll have a go. And gradually it kind of took shape.
So what was it like the first time? Gabriel's gone, you're now the front man. What was it like the first gig where you had to carry the gig as the lead person, essentially?
Yeah, I was more terrified about what to talk about between songs, because Peter had this thing, you know, and he would tell his funny stories or his surreal stories, and that really wasn't me, you know. I just, hello. And the next song is about... I eventually kind of finessed it a little bit so that I, you know, said, hello, everybody. The next song is about... I got more comfortable with it.
And so with that solo career of yours, what an incredible period, hit after hit, huge success. Heaven knows how much money you made, but the money wasn't really the focus. It wasn't what was driving you, was it? It wasn't to have that success.
No. It was nice. No, it wasn't the thing that drove it. Yeah, that was kind of, you know, I always viewed myself as going forward and someone throwing money in a bucket. I really didn't.
That was
know.
something that was happening afterwards. It was happening behind you, and it wasn't what was driving.
And this is, when I did the book, I finally realised just how much I worked.
This is Phil's book. Now, it's not the breeziest title. Not Dead Yet is what it's called.
Yeah.
Not Dead Yet. And that's what you're calling your tour coming up as well.
Not Dead Yet Live.
Yeah. But you were saying...
Slightly different. Slightly
You were
different.
saying, so it was in the writing of the book that... And I guess you're examining what
you know,
happened.
I mean, well, because... you know, I did it with Craig McLean, who was a journalist friend of mine, and I needed help, you know, because it was such a dense life. But we'd tap up, you know, what did you do? A Trick of the Tail tour, you know, 6 months away, 5 months away, 3 weeks off, 5 months away, 2 weeks off, you know, back home for the birth of your son. You know, your dad died, 72. OK, a week off, go to bed. You know, it was like... unbelievable, and it was quite scary to look at, because I was just doing it.
Yeah.
And of course I had Genesis, and towards the late 70s I had my own career as well.
So you missed out on a lot of things in your life that maybe you now wish, I guess, you had had more time to be there for and be present.
Yeah. Or no. No, of course there was times. I mean, I'm now at an age where you know, I live with my children, which is, you know, you all take it for granted. But when you've been doing what I've been doing all my life, it's actually a rarity. And so I live with my 2 young boys, and I'm part of their lives. I wasn't able to do that with my oldest 3. And you know, I mean, you know, this is a fun show. I don't want to drag it down into the morose, but it was hard, you know, and.
Do you like Toblerone, Phil?
You see. Now, you've always been quite open, I think, and at the same time, you've always had a rough ride. You know, you were an easy person to make jokes about.
I know you were.
And I know
I mean,
this.
I know I was.
Yeah. But I know this because I made jokes about Phil. And Phil spoke to me and said, why do you make jokes with me at the punchline? And I said, you know what, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't deserve
and
it.
I appreciate that honesty, actually.
But you were kind of an easy name. I think it's because you were so successful.
Yeah.
And because you were easygoing. And it's a weird thing, but it must have hurt. It must have been bad for you.
Well, you know, it rankles. Of course it does. I mean, I certainly understood writing this that I was annoying. I mean, I'm not to the people that liked what you do, but to the people that were just on the periphery. Jesus, Phil Collins. If I hear Sussudio, You Can't Hurry Love, Against All Odds, Groovy Kind of Love, Separate Lives, One More Time.
Yeah. You were everywhere, though, weren't you? I mean, that's the thing, I guess. You were fairly hard to avoid if people wanted to.
But I will say, in my defence, I only wrote the song once. You know what I mean?
We kept playing them.
I wrote the song once and I recorded it once. After that, it's out of my control. Yeah. You know, thank God the disc jockeys played it because I can buy a house in Miami. But the fact is that I only did it once. Yeah. And I found myself getting flayed for it, you know.
But you talk about how the press picked up on a couple of things in particular. There was a remark which I think was taken out of context about you said, it was reported that you said you'd leave the country if Labour won. And there was the story that the Sun won saying that you divorced your wife, or told you were divorced via a fax. And that was front-page news. Yeah. And that followed you around for years, didn't it?
I actually sent that in.
To this day, I don't know how that happened. To this day.
Because you sent a fax, but you didn't divorce your wife by fax.
No,
this is what we need to establish.
At one point, that was one way of communicating because of the time change and, you know, hello, it's me, you know, what, fuck you, you know. There was a lot of that going on.
So you could put your thoughts down, you could send it. You're in one part of the world, she's in another.
Yeah, and I've got limited time to try to speak. But anyway, I didn't do it. But it will be on my headstone, you know. He came, he went da-da and da-da and da-da and da-da and da-da and divorced his wife by fax.
You were almost like the in-house, by royal approval, favourite of Prince Charles and Diana, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you knew them both fairly well, I guess?
Well, we didn't go out for curries or nothing, but... I mean, I played at his 40th. I arranged his 40th birthday, and I played at her 30th.
And she was...
And I played a completely insensitive set of Separate Lives. Doesn't anybody stay together anymore? I mean, you know, it was like I didn't know they were splitting up.
Maybe that's what did it for them. Maybe it was your set list that night.
Could have been, you know.
But you see, it doesn't surprise me, you know, you were talking earlier about this schedule you had and this crazy work schedule, but here you're doing Prince's Trust, or you're doing birthday parties for people, but you're Phil Collins, you know what I mean? You're playing stadiums on your own, and then you're doing someone's birthday party. It does seem like you almost couldn't say no to anyone.
Well, you couldn't say no to Prince Charles, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we went to a Michael Jackson show at Wembley, and I was sitting behind him in the Prince, you know, because I was a Prince's Trust trustee. And when Michael Jackson was playing something, and he turned around to me and said, I'd like something like this at my party. Will you organise it? And you think, yeah. Of course, sir, yeah.
You didn't organise Michael Jackson for the party, though, did you?
No. I just found people that could play Michael Jackson songs. Yeah. I was supposed to be the surprise, you know, which wasn't really a surprise. But, no, I remember coming out and there was Elton and Fergie over there, and there was Diana in the middle. And no sign of Prince Charles. No.
So that was...
But that's another story.
Yeah. But that's probably in the book as well.
No, that's not in the book. No. I want to live.
Well, after the show, Phil, I want you to write it by hand in my copy, OK? We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be chatting a little bit more to Phil and the other guys after this. And, of course, Phil Collins will be performing live for you, so don't go away. Welcome back to the show. I'm still here with all my guests, but in particular Mr. Phil Collins, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's been great talking to you. I very much enjoyed it. Phil, you don't drum so much anymore. You can't really drum as much, or the way...
No, maybe next year.
OK, because you've had a few issues with your hands. I guess...
Few issues with the hands.
And you talk in the book about the physical toll that drumming for so long has taken on you. I mean, I guess it's quite gruelling if you do it for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing 60 years, you know, and...
Wow.
And so bits wear out.
Which bits first?
Well, there are bits here, and there are bits on the back.
On the head?
No, on the back.
Oh, on the back, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you meant on the back of the head.
Just before the Toblerone zone.
Yeah.
I'm never going to live this down, am I?
No, you're never going to live this down, not as long as I know.
And I'm never going to eat a Toblerone again. You will.
Don't even know what that means.
It's close enough to something,
Yeah, it
though.
sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it?
But your son will be drumming with you a bit
He
on
will,
this
yeah.
tour, won't he?
Well, I've got three sons. My 40-year-old, Simon, is a fantastic drummer, I've got to say. But he has his own career, you know, he's got his thing now mapped out. Nicholas is one of my two youngest.
How old's Nicholas?
He's 15 now.
Is that him there when he was tiny?
Yeah.
That is a good-looking boy.
And that's my son on the right.
Yeah. There you go. He's here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
Try the veal.
So he will come out and play with you on stage,
Yeah,
will he?
he's 15 now. He's going to be 16 when we do the shows. He's going to be my drummer, yeah.
Wow, that must be an exciting feeling, isn't it?
It's fantastic, yes.
So the new album is the album. When I call it a new album, it's an album of old tracks. You've put together all the singles. It's the singles collection.
Yeah, singles, hits and misses. I mean, it's the things that didn't click as well as the things that did click.
And are you writing new stuff as well? I know there was talk that you were writing something for or with Adele briefly.
Yeah. I mean, Adele approached me, and in my dark years, when I didn't really pay much attention to what was going on, when I was drinking myself to death, Adele came, and I didn't know who Adele was. So she called me and asked me if I wanted to write to her, and I said, "Who's Adele?" She'd had 2 albums out by this point and sold billions of records. That's my problem. But yeah, she was lovely. We met in London, and she gave me a piece of music to finish, which I went hell for leather to finish. But then she got a bit difficult to find, and it was because, you know, she just had a baby, and it was a little bit early. I read later that she said it was...
So at the time, though, you thought, what, that she didn't like what you'd done? Or...
Well, you know, I mean... First thing, she walked into the hotel room, and I thought, I think she's thinking, fuck, he's older than I thought he was. That's the first thing I thought. I made her a cup of tea, which she seemed to like, and then we just, you know, tried to... Well, I didn't have a phone number, I just had an email address, and I tried to stay in touch.
What is that email address?
Now, Phil is not the only talented drummer in the room right now. and John Thompson is also... You're a very gifted drummer, John. At least that's what you've told me.
Yeah, I have told you. In the past, I have.
How long have you drummed for?
I've been playing 35 years.
35 years, which is nothing compared to Phil's 60.
60? I'm a junior. I'm an apprentice.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder whether you'd like to... But we thought we'd have a drum quiz for Phil.
OK.
And get you, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a list of some popular drum solos to play here. So if you want to go over, if you want to hear it for John Thompson, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
He's going to go and get himself installed behind the drum kit. OK, John. So, John, if you put the headphones on, we're going to play John. We're going to tell him what the track is and give him a guide. And he's going to play a very famous drum fill, I think they're called. And then, guys, you can tell me whether you can recognise the track and the artist, OK?
OK.
No, John! We're still chatting over it. We're still chatting. I know, we haven't finished chatting yet. He's so keen for it. John, take it away. Here we go. So, John, lovely. Don't get carried away. Sorry. It's not a gig. So was that Phil or not Phil?
It's John Thompson.
Yeah, no, it's OK.
It sounded like it could have come from quite a lot of songs, to say the least.
Well, Phil, did you know what that was from?
It wasn't me.
No.
Wasn't a Queen thing or something.
No.
I thought it was like We Will Rock You, but a bit faster.
No. Here, let's hear it. This is the actual track, and you'll hear he did a good job. That's the point of the game.
Who was it?
It was Aerosmith with Run DMC.
Oh, OK.
Walk this way. OK, so, here we go. This is another one. Have a listen to this. Is this Phil or not Phil? Phil or not Phil? You're saying Phil, OK.
I don't think it was me.
I'm going to go with the fact that Phil's next
Well,
to
that's
me.
why you're not going to go first, Phil. You give him too big a
I'm
clue.
sorry. OK, it might have been me.
Have you changed your mind, Joe?
I think it's EastEnders.
I think it's...
It was EastEnders. To be fair, you didn't have the electric drums.
To be fair, it wasn't exactly like EastEnders.
Yeah. Let's have another one. Here we go. Phil or not Phil? Take it away, John. Yeah, Phil.
That's an orange band in Belfast. Isn't it?
Well, let me think about that.
Probably the most famous drum sound of all time, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of the most in popular music, for sure. That is.
EastEnders.
That was, of course. Let's hear the original. This is In the Air Tonight. Have a listen. Why do gorillas love that so much?
I don't know.
Okay, let's have another one. Should we have another one from John, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Go on, John, take it away. He's just warming up. They're getting better. OK, don't say anything, Phil. Don't look at Phil, Jimmy. He's so good. You're really... Jimmy's sort of a cheating. As soon as it finishes, he looks straight at Phil to see if there's any recognition. And then pretends he's not. OK, guys, what do you think?
Can we do a different instrument?
No, well, that's... It is hard.
I think it's Phil.
It is.
What? Why are you giving the answer so early? The whole game has collapsed. You haven't helped. You're cheating. You don't even want to hear drums. OK, what was the song? Let's hear it. Phil, did you get that as one of yours?
I think so, yeah.
Which one was it, do you know?
Easy Lover.
Easy Lover. It was Easy Lover. Let's have a listen. Good work. OK. Let's do one more. There's one more to be the last one, because I particularly like this piece. So here you go. John, if you're ready, we'll make this the last one. This is everything to play for. You get this right, you all get one of those airport-sized Toblerones to take home, OK? OK, so there's everything to play for. OK, so...
All right, pay attention, boy.
So prick up your ears, as they once said. Take it away, John Thompson. Yes, you got it. Breaking something to 185. Of course, you got it as well. Let's have a listen. ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Thompson. Comedian, drama extraordinaire. Great work, John. How about that? So, Phil, let's just remind people, the book is out. It's called Not Dead Yet, Phil Collins. The tour will be called that as well, Not Dead Yet Live. And that starts... When is the tour, Phil?
Sorry? June sometime.
I think it's the 4th till the 9th of June. But now Phil is going to sing live for us in the studio. That's exciting, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So, Phil, I'll let you go over there and get yourself ready. Thank you so much. Thanks to all my guests tonight, of course, they're all fabulous. Thank you to Jimmy, thank you to John, thank you to Faye, and Joe Lightset, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, I'll be joined here. We have the lovely Nicole Schertzing will be here, Stephen Merchant, Gino DeCampo and Shawn Mendes who'll be chatting and also performing. But now, doing Against All Odds, it's the one and only Mr. Phil Collins.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without a trace? When I stand here taking every breath with you, ooh, you're the only one who really knew me at all. How can you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause we shared the laughter and our pain, and even shared the tears. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now, 'cause there's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space. You coming back to me is against all odds. It's a chance I've got to take. I could just make you turn around, see me cry. There's so much I need to say to you, so many reasons why. You're the only one who really knew me at all. So take a look at me now. There's just an empty space, and there's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Just take a look at me now, 'cause I'll still be standing here, but to wait for you is all I can do. It's what I've got to face. Take a look at me now, 'cause there's just an empty space, and you coming back to me is against all odds. It's a chance I've got to take. Oh, Lord. Take a look at me now.